Welcome to my Heavy Metal Kitchen. I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about Michael Kelly Smith, Veterans Rock. It was a benefit to help the veterans and their families, as we're all having tough times right now. And it was a really great chance to get together with our rock and roll friends. It's just a nice, steady, even flow of people, all kinds of people coming, and just all enjoying the music and camaraderie and just supporting our local veterans. I will say that the event raised several $1,000s, and there's going to be another one. I don't know of any other musicians that have done something like this since I was thinking about this. About Live Aid and Band Aid and Hearing Aid. Back in the 80s when they did these types of benefits, a bunch of musicians would get together and do write a song or have some sort of event like Live Aid, and did that. But I don't see that happening much these days. But hopefully that will change. It's really difficult to get to a concert these days, even though we want to. With the fees are astronomical. It's just insane. To go to a show for $200. I don't know how many people can afford that, but to see musicians you like play at your local VFW, why not? I don't see anything wrong with that. Times are changing, and let's get back to what we love. That's what I say. So I see this as a great opportunity for bands to do what they love doing, and playing for a crowd and making some money and getting some people out. This is a book that one of the vendors were writers for this book called When We Rocked, excuse me. So I'm going to read a portion of this. This book was written by author and historian Antonio Aeolia, and he's a Philadelphia musician, author and historian, and also podcast host Mick Michaels. They joined forces in an effort to document and highlight one city's diverse musical evolution at a time and many have considered to be the greatest moment in Philadelphia history. And of course, I'm talking about the hair metal movement of the 80s. And say what you want, it was a great time, and I think a lot of us miss it. So another reason for these events. Rock isn't dead, it's alive and well, and it's just screaming to be heard in the hearts and minds of those who dare to seek out and live the rock and roll dream. All roads lead to Philadelphia, especially when it comes to music. When We Rock, the story of Philadelphia rock music scene documents one city's historic, unique, and iconic musical legacy, from the backbeats of the streets, focusing primarily on the late 70s throughout the 80s and into the early 90s. When We Rock has brought that time back to life through the first-hand accounts and recollections of a number of prominent Philadelphia artists who were there, including insight and perspectives from several members of the larger national rock music community, each telling the story, each bringing back an era that was at one time a once-in-a-lifetime experience, back to the days when we rocked. So yeah, I've just read about the first 50 pages, and it's very interesting. A lot of musical talent came from the city, and a great time. So I'd say give this a try. You can get it on Amazon webpage as well, but I did see it on Amazon. And of course, thank you, Rich, for picking this up for me. And Rich was another vendor at this event, and he did this one, which was mostly photography and about his life, about being a rock fan. Really fun stuff, great pictures. Rich is a photographer. I talked about his book before. Day went off without a hitch. Everyone was helping. It was a good team of people. Michael's family and friends all came out in support, as well as fans, as well as people from the community. And it just was perfect. And I don't remember every second of it, but I just think in retrospect that I would love to see more musicians and artists doing something like this. The interest is definitely there, and like I said, with the prices of these concerts, going to see a show for $200 is just absurd. So if you can still end up doing it and you can still want to do it, people should do it. And if it means that you're in a VFW, who cares, you know? That's the one thing I love about getting older, is that I don't care what people think as much as I used to. For instance, a friend of mine, she loves Star Trek. She'd love to go to these Star Trek conventions that happen in her town. And I say, why don't you just go? She's like, yeah, but I don't have anyone to go with. Well, you know, the people there are your people. So you're in the right place. You don't need someone to go with. Just go, you know? It shouldn't be, you shouldn't feel weird about that. You know, that's something I've gotten over too. Because if nobody wants to go, well, fuck them. You just go by yourself. And your people are there, so there's no need to bring anyone. And plus, if you bring someone, they probably aren't into it anyway, and you're going to be worried about them the whole time. So even a better reason to go alone. Anyway, there were door prizes, and 2 guitars were auctioned off, and there was some 50/50s and gift baskets, and it was just a really great, well-organized event. And there will be another next year. And it's just awesome that they raised so much money for the VFW, for the veterans. There wasn't a Q&A. I had been part of planning some of this, and I knew that there was going to be a Q&A, and I wasn't sure how it was going to work. But I'm kind of glad it didn't have a Q&A, because a lot of questions and stories came across in breaks in the music, such as a special guest that came. And that was a guy named Ken Bagenstos. And he was Michael's first guitar teacher. Michael has not seen him for 50 years. And when I was talking to Michael like several months ago, he said, I'd really like to find this guy, Ken Bagenstos. And he knew that I worked in the area and I work with older people. And somebody knows somebody who knows somebody. And I was able to reach out to him, and he was, you know, he remembered Michael, and he was quite receptive. I'll let Michael explain.
I want to introduce, wow, I don't even know where to start. So I started playing guitar when I was 14, kind of late, in the 70s. And somewhere around 1975, I got to the point where I needed like real guitar lessons. And I happened to find this guy named Kenny Bagenstos from Reading, who came highly recommended, and went to Orth Music in Reading and signed up for lessons. Ended up taking lessons from Kenny for about 2 or a little more than 2 years. We lost touch over the years, and we just recently connected. About 50 years later, to the day almost. This is 2026. So it was 1976 that we saw each other last, and that I had my last lesson with Kenny, and he's here today. Please, let's hear it, man. Kenny. He knows every chord, man.
That was a really special part, and I enjoyed seeing him. No need to be shy. And it's funny because there was a couple of people named Ken Bagenstos in that area, so it made it a little tricky. And funny, one of them said, "I'm not that Ken Bagenstos. That's the musician. Somebody's called looking for him before." Yeah, so you just never know who you're going to meet at one of these events or how they go down. But it's all good, and I would hope that more musicians do this kind of thing, you know, especially when, you know, budgets are hard and maybe you can't go out on tour. You know, there's lots of things involved in that, you know, you don't want to deal with. So this is a great opportunity to play live music and be around fans that appreciate it. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say, and I'm off this week, and I'm going to go enjoy myself and get some sun and do some yard work, of course, gardening. And I hope you all have a great week. I'll see you next time in my Heavy Metal Kitchen. Bye-bye.
Thank you.